Hello again, this is Dan Hickey. Today I want to talk to you about one of the principles of educational assessment. This principle is called reliability. Reliability in the general sense means trustworthy. When discussing assessment, reliability actually refers to the consistency by which a test measures whatever it is measuring. It is the criteria in which tests, especially external tests, are judged. Reliability is a property of the assessment or test itself. Whenever someone takes a classroom assessment or achievement test, there's going to be some error between what somebody actually knows and their score. Less error means higher reliability. As the stakes get higher, reliability generally matters more and more. You don't want to be making a high-stakes decision on a test that might yield a very different score if someone took it a second time. It's important to not confuse reliability with validity. Validity is a function of the claims being made with a score. Reliability is a property of the assessment or the test itself. As I just mentioned, reliability is the standard by which the quality of a test is judged. Parents, students, and administrators may ask about the reliability of your classroom assessments or any external assessments that they might be taking. Therefore, it's a good idea to have a working knowledge of what reliability is, how it is measured, and how reliability results are used. If you're an area leader or an administrator, you're probably likely to be making decisions that have high stakes. For example, if you're going to place a student in a particular track, require a certain score to skip a class, or something like that, you really don't want to be using a test with poor reliability. As a classroom teacher, your weekly quizzes might actually be quite unreliable for reasons that we'll discuss. In many situations, though, that won't be a big problem because the stakes are so low, and what you'd have to do to increase reliability would undermine the goals of that assessment. There are three types of reliability: stability, which is sometimes called test-retest, alternate forms, and internal consistency. I'm going to discuss each of these individually. One of the most important points to take away from this video is that these types of reliability are not interchangeable. They each cover different things. Particularly if you're dealing with testing professionals, you should probably know the difference. Stability reliability, or test-retest, literally refers to the consistency or stability of test results over time. It's called test-retest because you measure stability reliability by testing the students once and then test them again and hope for similar results. There should be no intervention or significant instructional event between the two administrations. In my assessment course, students take 3 multiple-choice exams and finals. Reliability in this case is not the consistency of the scores across those exams. Rather, it is the consistency of the scores if I were to give the test twice to the students and not do anything in between. So some of you are probably wondering, what is an intervening event? The most obvious event is going back over a test and showing students the items that they got wrong. That would yield a different score. But since I don't actually give feedback on the specific test items, the score actually might go up or it might actually go down. Reliability is often described in mathematical terms. It is sometimes referred to as a correlation coefficient, signified by the italicized letter R. A correlation coefficient can range from -1 to +1. Typically, you're looking for a correlation near 1.0. A strong reliability or a strong relationship is around 0.8. It's a very typical number you'll see. Getting near 0, such as up to around 3, is a relatively weak consistency. Classification consistency is the percentage of students' classifications that are consistent over time. This became really important in the US under the No Child Left Behind because there was so much attention paid to students who were on the bubble, either just above or just below cutoff points of proficiency. Generally speaking, though, most classroom assessments won't be administered twice. The alternate form approach to reliability indicates whether two different versions of a test are actually equivalent. That is, do 2 forms of the same test measure the same thing? This is very common for standardized tests, and again, it can refer to both the correlation coefficient of 2 tests or the classification consistency. A more complex mathematical procedure called item response theory can also be used. We're not going to discuss IRT, but later on in a subsequent video, I'm going to show you some simple techniques that you can use to find items that are behaving oddly and making your assessments less reliable. For now, the most important thing is to revisit the guidelines for developing good items and think about how those guidelines can be used to make a test more reliable. One important thing to keep in mind, though, is all other things being equal, a greater number of items on an assessment or test means higher reliability. Internal consistency refers to the consistency of items on the administration of a single test. You're examining whether those different test items function in a consistent manner. There are many statistical indices for internal consistency. The most common is the Coulter-Richardson formula. It's typically used to examine the internal consistency of dichotomous test items. In other words, items that are right or wrong, such as both multiple choice or binary items. The second, Cronbach's coefficient alpha, is used to examine the internal consistency of polytomous items, which means that it has a continuous scale with multiple responses, such as you'd find on an essay item. This is also used to determine the reliability of the familiar Likert scale items, where you answer multiple agree, disagree items about the same thing. I'm not going to discuss how to calculate those two types of reliability. There are statistical courses, and there's plenty of resources on the web that can help you if you're interested. One additional concept that's important in terms of reliability is the standard error of measurement. The standard error of measurement is a statistical indication regarding an individual's performance. You often see it referred to as SEM. It refers to the standard deviation of a test score as if that individual were to take the same test repeatedly with no intervention between test administrations. I'm not going to explain SEM here. It really would take too long, but you should probably review a textbook definition of it and try to make sense of SEM in your setting or where you work. That's all for now. I hope you find this quick overview of the topic of reliability useful.